That's not curious. That's controlling. When questions attack, how to spot and stop manipulative curiosity. Ever have someone ask you a question that wasn't really a question? We talked about this in the last episode of Here in the Driver's Seat with me, Janine Driver, where Grant Cardone took down Gary Brecka with 21 brutal questions. Someone says,
"Oh, you forgot to include me in that email? Wait, you thought that was a good idea today?"
Yeah, these aren't real questions. I want to give a shout out over at YouTube at T. Kimmins. Say,
Janine, what do we do in these moments?
I love that curiosity because this is a verbal shiv and a question mark costume. And today I'm going to show you, T. Kimmins, and you at home, that slick little power play that someone's using and how to flip it. You're going to learn why some people use questions like a chess match and the one tactic that diffuses manipulative curiosity instantly. I love it. I've been using it for years. And how to defend yourself with clarity, not claws. Let's ride.
Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to my podcast today in the driver's seat with me, Janine Driver.
Are you ready for one of the coolest podcasts on the web? Janine Driver, she's an expert on body language, persuasion, emotional intelligence, decision-making hack. This is In the Driver's Seat with Janine Driver.
Let me hit you with a wild statistic. Actually, let me take you there. Let me transport you back to the 1970s. You're sitting in a beige wall classroom at the University of California. The lights go down and the professor rolls in one of those rickety TV things on wheels. Yeah, you're watching a video of two cars colliding in an intersection on a VHS tape. It's grainy, black and white, nothing dramatic, no explosions, just a simple car crash. Then you're asked a question.
How fast were the cars going when they hit each other?
You say your number. You think. You answer. Maybe 34 miles per hour. Now, rewind. Same room, same video, different group of people. They're asked,
how fast were the cars going when they smashed into each other?
Did you pick up on the change in language? Yeah, now people guess about 42 miles per hour. That word smashed. See, that's the kicker. Because guess what? Because of that word, a week later, those same people remembered seeing broken glass on the road. But there was never any glass. That only difference was that one word. Do words impact us? Yeah, they do. That word smashed, it changed their perception. It didn't just shape the answer. It rewrote the memory. That's what we're driving into today. The power of those loaded questions and how they manipulate your mind. And finally, I'm going to tell you, what do you do in those moments? Because people do this to us all the time, in real life, all the time. It probably happened to you already today. Think of Nate from Ted Lasso. This guy, Nate, this dude's quiet. He's sweet. He's soft-spoken in the first series, right? The first round, the first season, until he's no longer that way. Because then he's throwing out lines seasons later. Are you okay? You seem spirally. Don't you hate that? Like, are you feeling okay? And then makes you feel not good. It sounds like caring, right? But it's not. It's a subtle dig. Or take Wednesday Addams. I love this. Are they going to do another season of this at Netflix? I loved her. Her vibe. Yeah, she asked things in a way that was icy cold, calculated. She never flinched. I loved her anyway. She would ask something like,
"Why are you pretending to be happy?"
No tone, just truth. And she leaves you to sit there and spiral. These characters show us how questions can be used as weapons. So today, let's go in. Let's talk about how to spot this manipulative curiosity. We did it in the last episode, talking about Grant Cardone's 21 questions. And now let's break it down. What's happening in your brain when it hears these types of questions? And how do you take your power back with my emotional CPR method? So we're going to talk about the method. By the way, another huge shout out to @T. Kimmins over on YouTube, who literally asked after I posted that Cardone episode,
how do you defend yourself from this tactic?
I love this question and let's explore it. I'm going to give you your answer. Let me tell you a story about the moment I realized I was dating a human red flag in disguise. This guy said he wanted to grow his business. And I believed in him, like big time believed in this guy. I could see what was possible. So I brought him on the road with me. Behind the scenes of my keynote speaker life, I wanted to show him how to work the people who are booking us and how do you prepare for these types of presentations. My client paid for his flight, his hotel, his meals. And I got him a $3,000 speaking gig at the same event. I filmed him. I coached him. I got him testimonials. Heck, I even gave him one of my exercises I created and used at the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center, FLETC, in Glencoe, Georgia, when I used to work for ATF. That was a huge hit because his program wasn't interactive. I'm like, it needs to come alive. Yeah, I wanted to make his presentation more dynamic. So I add these video clips. I added a couple other ideas. I said, you should take this and take that. Videos I had seen that he had put on social media. And then I edited these videos and put it in this deck for him. It literally took me over 6 hours to create this. I was pretty proud of it. I could have killed it. It was a labor of love because I was crazy about him. But there was something inside that was like, When it came to showtime, by the grace of God, I crush it. I get a standing ovation. People are coming up to me, telling me their takeaways. I gave my number away. They're texting me. I mean, and I see my boyfriend look at me at the airport and he's just staring at my face. And I think he's going to say like,
oh my God, Janine, thanks for taking me. This was so amazing. This was great. I want to do it again.
He thinks he's doing me the favor by being there. And you know what he said when he looked at me? Have you ever thought about getting those moles removed by my face? The ones near your mouth? And he pulled a little hair out of my mole right here. Tiny little hair. I didn't know it was there. Clearly, we were there for a couple of days. It must have been there. He then
said they're kind of hard to look at.
These moles? He literally shivered like this and he shook his body. I'm like, dude, you have facial hair. It's the same exact thing, right? I mean, come on. But I wasn't angry. I wasn't boiling. Quite frankly, I was sad and horrified that I'm investing my time introducing my clients to this guy. And I was disappointed in him for his lack of emotional intelligence. This dig that he gave me after I had this big high is so basic. I put him on this pedestal and he didn't belong up there. And let's cue Taylor Swift to write a song about this guy for me. Because guess what? I had to date this guy and all these red flags so I could write books about it and talk podcasts about it. Because guess what? I've never thought about removing my moles. I'm 54. Never in my life. I thought Cindy Crawford made them like mole approved faces back from the 80s because she had some facial moles. But guess what? What happened? The damage had been done. I didn't take the bait there, but I had never been told my moles were hard to look at before. So that damage was done because guess what? Even though I handled that ordinary guy's manipulative curiosity pretty well in the moment, I couldn't stop thinking about my moles for weeks. I even talked to my friends. Have you ever had a mole removed from your face? I didn't even know you could do it. Didn't even dawn on me. But in that moment when it happened, I won. Because I used what I now call my emotional CPR. You got to see, catch the blink, that pit in your stomach when something just goes wrong, that slow sadness crawling up your chest. P, the pattern interrupt, right? It's this reprogramming, this pre-decision maybe. I didn't react. I didn't clap back. I paused. This is when we program ourselves in a different way or take that pause and then reframe. I looked him in the eyes and I used what I call, that's interesting. That's interesting.
Wow, that's interesting.
I did a TED Talk, The Cooperation Paradigm. Find it if you want to see it over on YouTube. And I say, hostage negotiators don't use why. They use a what and a how. Here you want to use a why because it makes people feel judged. That's what we want. I said,
Wow, that's interesting.
Insert his name.
That's what you felt needed to be said after everything this weekend as we're at the airport about to head home. That's what needed to be said?
I let the silence do the rest because that wasn't feedback that he was giving me. It wasn't quote unquote helpful. I think it was jealousy. Jealousy dressed up like a concern. I was so excited at one point.
It's like, shh, take your energy down, shh.
And did this to me while I was helping him. This is a man that couldn't handle that I got more applause than him. That's the story. Needless to say, that wasn't the first event I took him to, but it certainly was the last event. Yeah, hashtag bye boy. Incidentally, you can use that's interesting in a bunch of different situations. Someone asks you,
have you gained weight recently? Are you taking one of those weight loss drugs?
That's interesting. Why do you want to know that?
Nice and calm, not bitchy, right?
That's interesting. Why do you want to know that?
And no matter what they say,
oh, I was just curious because I see that you're losing weight.
Huh, interesting.
And then you pivot. If someone says
to you, hey, how much money do you make for a living?
You can respond with,
that's interesting. Why do you want to know that?
And no matter what they say,
oh, I heard body language experts make a killing, $1 million a year. Is that true?
Doesn't matter what they say. You say, interesting. And pivot. Pivot. You can picture Ross from Friends. So for at T. Kimmons over at YouTube, it's that's interesting. You simply respond,
interesting.
And then you do your pivot.
People are like, why are you single? And I'm like, well, that's an interesting question you ask.
Well, that's interesting, isn't it?
All down. Stay frosty, Wyatt. We're just getting started.
Okay, well, that's interesting. You know why?
Why?
Because
someone starts to spread gossip Guess what?
Hey, did you hear that Mike's going to get laid off? Looks like Bob's going to get laid off too. Did you hear that?
That's interesting. Why are you sharing this information with me?
Oh, well, it's just that, 30 people got laid off last week. Now that Trump's the president, everyone's getting laid off because we're contractors.
Huh, interesting.
No matter what they say, you say interesting and pivot. By the way, you can take a nice closed eye blink. When we do this, it resets our brain. A nice slow eye blink. Let's play a little game. Can you spot the manipulative curiosity? All right, let's test your radar. I'm going to read 5 questions that could show up in any conversation in your life. Could be in the boardroom. It could be on a group text. It could be at an awkward dinner or even on your job. Anywhere. Here we go. Spot which ones are genuine curiosity and which ones are manipulative power play dressed up in a question mark costume. Here we go.
Don't you think it's time you started acting like a responsible adult?
Yeah, you guessed it, right? Manipulative. This isn't a question. This is a judgment wrapped in sarcasm. It's like being handed a grenade with the pin already pulled. Your total shame play. That's what that is. Number 2.
Could you help me understand your perspective on this issue?
Answer: genuine. This one breathes. It creates space. It's not assuming anything. It's just opening the door to dialogue. You can feel the difference, right? Number 3.
Why do you always prioritize work over your family?
Answer: manipulative. Let's talk about that word, always. That's your red flag here in this baby. Anytime someone goes absolute, always, never, you constantly do this. They are not looking for a real answer. I say, do you want to be right or do you want to be effective? They don't want to be effective. They want to be right. They're lobbying guilt in those moments. Number 4.
Is there a reason you chose to handle the situation that way?
Answer: I'm going to say more genuine. It's surprising, right? But the tone matters. If it's a neutral tone delivery, this question is actually curious. It invites you to explain it, not defend it. But if you're like, is there a reason why you did that? And you're like Boston attitude-y, then that's manipulative. Number 5, last but not least.
Do you really believe that's an appropriate way to behave?
Yeah, that answer, manipulative. Do you really believe? That's passive-aggressive code for you clearly messed up, but I'll let you dig your own grave. That's shame with a smile. All right. How did you do? If you got 4 or 5 right, you're killing it. You've got strong emotional vision, like MRI vision. If you got 3 right, you're catching the blink. You're getting sharper. If you've got less than 3, you've got company. Most people don't see these until later. They've defended themselves. They dug themselves in a hole. They regret what they said or they lost their cool. But now you've got the radar. You know what to look for. And we're just getting started because here's the comeback formula. Quote me on this. There are 3 voiced shift ready lines you can literally quote in your head or aloud when you are under attack. You want to say this silently in a confident voice in your head.
That sounds like a judgment hidden in a question.
Want to be direct. Number 2, a playful tone inside your head.
Whoa. Well, that question feels like a trap. Can we rewind? VHS tape.
Number 3, that boundaried voice.
I'm not here to win. I'm here to understand. You in? Right? Do you want to be right? Do you want to be effective? They want to be effective.
Let your editor shift that voice on that boundary setting, and you'll be a boundary setting ninja before you know it. Weaponized questions are unfortunately everywhere. They are at the dinner table and they are in the boardrooms and they're on podcasts and they're in politics for sure. They're on social media. The trick isn't to fight fire with fire. It's to stay in control of your tone, your breath, and your frame. Ask questions to connect, not corner. And when someone comes at you with a fake question full of venom, pause, breathe, reframe, redirect, because the real power move isn't who wins the argument. It's who stays in the driver's seat. My name's Janine Driver. By the way, would you like a bonus? If the person is still relentless, they're kind of attacking you, you can take it to the next level and you can say this.
You're starting to embarrass yourself now.
Calm, control, long, slow blink, really calm.
Mike, you're starting to embarrass yourself now. We're at an airport. You're saying this pretty loudly where other people can see. This is a private conversation and you're embarrassing yourself.
And he might lose his cool more and say,
no, you're embarrassing yourself.
Then you say,
you're right. I am embarrassed. I'm embarrassed for you because of your behavior. You're embarrassing yourself so badly that now I'm embarrassed.
Oh, this is a killer though. They go crazy.
Now take the fur coat off. You're embarrassing yourself. Come on.
You're embarrassing yourself.
I had a guy once, a military guy, and he was sitting next to me, and he was not very nice. He said,
Did anyone see a movie lately?
And I said,
yeah, I did. I saw.
And he's like,
Anybody?
He's talking to these other Marines. This guy's like an older guy. He's got all the swag. He looks like he's, at TGI Fridays for 4 decades. Wicked important guy. Thank you for your service to our country. I'm not knocking that. But he looked me up and down. I struggle with weight. I saw him when I first got there, look me up and down. What just happened right here? The second time he asked that question is really manipulative curiosity towards me, right? Unless maybe he's deaf in one ear, but I literally touched him on his shoulder. And when he looked at me, I said,
Sir, you don't have to be intimidated by me.
He's like,
Excuse me? I'm not intimidated by you.
I go, oh. It's my mother's technique. My mother would bust us, fake IDs when we were kids. We had tickets in our pockets after we went to Faces, a dance club with a fake ID. She'd be like, oh, Marlene, Enos's mother told me she saw you going into a dance club. But meanwhile, she saw the fake ID in the pocket. So I said to him, I go,
you don't have to be intimidated by me.
And had you been there, you would have seen him lose his cool. He's like, I'm not intimidated by you. He ranted and raved. And I go, it's just that I can see you're a well-decorated Marine. Clearly, you're some type of big general here. I don't come from a military family. And all I know about the Marines is they're classy. And so when someone asks a question and you ignore someone who's answering, especially a woman at the table full of men, it indicates one of two things for me in my experience. Either you're intimidated by that person or you're just rude and disrespectful. And because you're a well-decorated Marine, I didn't think it was you were rude, but maybe I was wrong. He lost his shit. He got up, he left. My friends that were there, I was teaching a class, by the way, to the DOD. I'm teaching a class, me and these other guys. And the guys look at me and go, Janine, he's the general of generals. He's this, that. And I go, shame on all of you. You saw what he was doing here, this manipulative curiosity he was pulling on me. And not one of you took me to another table.
Hey, Janine, can we talk about what we're going to teach next?
Create an answer. Get me out of there. Because do you know what? If you're not going to set a boundary for me as your friend, I'll be setting a boundary. And I'm putting everyone on notice. You will not be disrespecting me. I will treat you with respect, and I expect the same. When we create boundaries for people, the problem is we always forget or often forget what is the consequence if they violate that boundary. We're going to talk about that in a future episode, setting boundary and what could a consequence be. And here's the deal. You got to follow through on the consequence. So it can't be some crazy consequence. All right. Hop over to JanineDriver.com to bring me in as your next keynote speaker. If you're looking for body language statement analysis, if you want to level up your people reading skills or affect your culture or your confidence. Until next time, keep catching those blink moments, those moments of, ooh, that didn't feel so good. And hold on to your power and don't let anyone rewrite your truth with a question mark. And by the way, if no one told you today, you're doing better than you might think. Because look at my sign I have here. You are kind, you are smart, you are important. I show this to my kids every day. I say, read that sign for me. Read that. You are kind, you are smart, you are important. Thanks for being here. Bye now.
Thanks for tuning in to In the Driver's Seat with Janine Driver. Use these insights to make your life easier and relationships stronger. Remember, you matter and belong, and you're not alone on this journey. Until next time, keep driving forward. Bye now.